What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the start of Tattoo School on YouTube, brought to you by the fine folks over at AfterPrisonShow. Wait a minute, that's me, ain't it? So I guess this is brought to you by me. We are going to be getting a lot more in depth with these tattoo tutorial videos to help ensure that you have a better chance for success and not a fail with your tattoo. What we will be going over in this video right here, I'm going to show you how to make a tattoo needle a totally different way. I know a lot of you out there are having problems wrapping the needle around the offset or just making the needle in general. This is a really easy way to make a tattoo needle. Also, I'm going to be talking about a different type of ink you can tattoo with. This is a pen ink, but it's not just any old pen ink. Let's begin. Tattoo needles. When it comes to tattooing, your needle is very important, as is everything else. But this is one thing that you really need to get right. Let's say, for example, you have your tattoo needle. What does it say on this paper towel? Don't what? Don't worry, don't worry. Okay, so you've got your tattoo needle here. Special thanks to the person who commented and told me about placing the needle in front of something so you can see it better. So you've got your needle, but you can't wrap the end of your needle around your offset. You're having trouble with that, or maybe your needle's too short. Well, I'm going to show you a nice little trick with your tattoo needle to make things a lot easier. A Bic pen. Let's take this Bic pen apart like we always do. And inside of your Bic pen, you've got your ink cartridge right here. We've always removed this tube and basically just disregarded it in other videos. But in this video, this ink cartridge right here is very important. We can remove this ink cartridge, blow this ink onto a sheet of paper, and let this ink drain out onto that sheet of paper. And you're going to be left with an empty ink cartridge. Now, this is going to take some time. You may have to continue blowing into it every once in a while to continue the draining. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to empty one of these ink cartridges onto a piece of paper so that you end up with just the empty cartridge. Once you have removed the ink from the ink cartridge, I'm a little close to the camera right here. I don't know if that's a little disturbing to anyone out there. Once you have removed the ink from the ink cartridge, you're going to be left with an empty ink cartridge. You can then how do I do this? You can then cut a small piece of the ink cartridge off, and this is going to be the end for your tattoo needle. So this right here is a needle that I've made out of a click pin spring. Now, I've talked about how to make these in other videos, but let's just say, for example, you have a needle that's too short or you can't wrap the end of your needle around your offset. Well, what you're going to do with whatever it is that you're using for your needle, whether it's a staple, a spring, whatever it is, not a sewing needle, because I don't think that's really going to work for this. We're going to take some nail clippers and we're just going to cut part of that needle away, because we don't need the whole needle. What we're then going to do is, on one side of the needle, preferably the side that's not ready to be sharpened, we are going to just bend a little crook in the end of the needle. We are then going to take our empty ink cartridge piece and we're going to stick the needle inside just like so. And it doesn't have to fit in there perfectly right now, just stick it in there. See how that's in there? It's not in there secured in any kind of form or fashion right yet. Now, the real magic begins. We're going to take a lighter, and mind you, be careful when you're doing this, because you can and you probably will burn yourself if you are not careful with this. We are going to take a lighter and we are just going to heat this up. We're not going to get it on fire and drip fireballs on us, but we're just going to heat it up until that starts to bend. And then what we're going to do is we're going to carefully take our fingers and we're going to squeeze that to secure the plastic ink cartridge around the needle. Now, it's going to take you a couple of times to get this. Believe me, I don't ever get this on the first try. But the point of this is to secure this needle tightly inside of this ink cartridge, especially where that little bend in the needle is. More fire around the bend. It's hot. Let's not burn ourselves. And also, as you're doing this, keep the needle straight, or as straight as you can. Now, what is the point of all of this, you might wonder? Well, the point of this is to make an easy fit on your offset without having to twist the tattoo needle around the offset. This is like a little easy hack if you're having an issue tying your needle around your offset. What we are now going to do, we are going to melt the end of this. So we're going to melt the end of this. Getting this real hot and on something flat that won't burn, unlike this table that will. We're going to kind of press this flat. Now that's not good enough, so we're going to have to continue to do this. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to make this as flat as I can. And that is what we're going for. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I promise you it will work. We're going to take something like a nail or a paper clip, something that's kind of a thicker metal. And we're going to hold it with our fingernail clippers, and we're going to get that hot. So we're just going to burn the end of this. And then we are going to stick this straight through the middle of here. Just like so. So that we have made a hole right through the end of this needle. You see where this is going? Because there's where our offset will be. And now we don't have to loop a needle around the offset. This is a nice little trick to know. Now just let that sit on the nail for a second till it cools down with a paper clip. And once it's cool, we'll then pull it right back out. Just like so. And now we have a hole right through the end of our needle. Let's see if this works. Here's our gun. This gun was put together with a combination of hair clippers and an electric toothbrush. So if you're wondering why I'm looking a little rough in these videos these days, it's because right here are my hair trimmers. Here's our needle, and it fits right on the offset, just like so. So now we're gonna sharpen this needle. We're gonna feed the needle through our gun, and we're gonna feed it all the way through. And then we're gonna stick the end of our gun so that we've got our needle through there. And then we'll pull that back and hook that up right like so. Now the only thing about making a needle like this is the fact that it is a little noisy when you hook it up. But it works. We've got an emery board right here or a piece of sandpaper. And the easiest way to sharpen a needle is like this. Literally leave your needle in your gun with a good amount of needle hanging out the end of your gun. Then with your gun running, we can run our needle across our emery board. Turning it and letting the gun actually sharpen the needle for us. Now notice as I'm sharpening this needle, I'm turning the whole thing around. And the reason for that is because I want to make this needle as sharp and as rounded on the end without leaving any flat spots on the needle. But you're also going to want to look and make sure that it's rounded and doesn't have any kind of little hooks on the end of it that could get caught up underneath your skin. Now that I think this needle is good enough to tattoo with, it's time to clean it. I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to burn the end of this needle. Then I'm going to take some alcohol and I'm going to clean it even further, going all around the end of this needle. This needle is now ready to tattoo with. Now how deep do you go when you tattoo? You want to go just about the width of a nickel. Cleanliness is going to help prevent any sort of infection, no matter what kind of ink or tattooing device you are using. If you've got to wash your hands before you tattoo, wear gloves while you tattoo, keep the area that you are tattooing on your body clean, keep the area where you are working tattooing at clean. Cleanliness is going to help prevent any sort of infection before, while, and after you have tattooed. The ink is called Higgins Black Magic. This is a pigmented ink. Anytime you are considering using a pen ink to tattoo with, one, do not use ballpoint ink to tattoo with. You cannot tattoo with that. It will not stick in your skin. It just won't. You need to use a pigmented ink while tattooing. Non-toxic, non-acrylic, pigmented ink. If you're unsure whether the ink you're about to tattoo with is pigmented or not, or whether it's non-toxic, my best advice to you is don't use it. And that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a new technique for making a tattoo needle and also new inks that you can tattoo with. Check out my next video where I will actually be using the needle that we just made and also the ink that I talked about in this video to tattoo. As always, like and comment. Let me know what you think about this video. And until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day.